Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. And so the energy shifts yet again. In the process of channeling, there is an element of trust. I chose a man to channel who likes to have things prepared in advance. A very linear thinker who would have to de-linearize his mind and understand that the only thing that he knows in advance is that he will not know anything in advance. The words that I speak now are not known to him a moment before they're spoken. And so there is no target message unless I tell him in advance what it will be. Or unless I tell him there will be a repeat of information that is then enhanced. Here is a time where he has no idea what is coming. And that is most of the time. And so what you have in this paradigm and this example is a quantum experience in the now, is it not? Where you walk from place to place, not even having a goal, but being accepting that what you're doing has purpose for the planet, even though you do not see it. I have said this before, dear human being, that your very existence as a light worker is good enough. Without a goal, without a project, is good enough. That there is a process that takes place between you and your energy and that of the crystalline grid that is enough. And that the very aspect of your life being lived one day at a time helps the planet. When you complete yourself with compassion. It is therefore the compassionate attribute of your mind and what you do with it, day by day, which is changing the very future. How will you react to old paradigms, young person? Can you strike a balance between the wisdom of honoring what is there and changing what you can? And those who are conceptual will know this. For it is the linear mind who will go up against a force and expect it to bend. It is the conceptual mind who will go around the force and change it from the back. And so there are ways and means of approaching those that you have never approached because you didn't think you could. There is a way of living where they will approach you when they see the compassion that you have. Where those perhaps you have not talked to in years, who have not accepted you for what you believe, will see you differently because you stop telling them anything and listening to them compassionately. Because they can see you're interested in their life and not interested in converting them. These are the paradigm shifts, dear human being, that you're starting to see on a day-by-day basis. If you can title a series or a channeling, I will do so. This is not going to be an endurance channel. We wish to give you information and energy this day. I would like to start a series called The Incredible Human Being. And I'll start it with a simple one. Honoring of history. Not your history, but that of the higher self inside you. A history of the kind that you don't hear much about. And if I could subtitle, it would be How We See You. We've given information how God sees humanity. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how we see you now, right now. If you could see what we see, it would change everything. You'd change your attitude about who you are, who humans are, what you've done and where you're going. We see with eyes that have millennium in them all at once. Will you not see in this time frame like you do, a moment at a time, as you hear this, as you might read this later? We see instead a snapshot of all the lives that you are, of all the things that might have happened that you are, and what you did even before you got here. That's how we see you. We see you as both eternal and a piece of God, the creative energy, and as the human that you are. That's how we see you. And the history that is here is amazing. And although we have said some of these things before, I wish to lay it out yet again. A carpet of honor rolled down the middle aisle for you to appreciate. And I bring you this, the message of the history of humanity differently than you've ever heard it before. You can't start it where you think it started. Humans like you appeared 200,000 years ago, and that's not very long. And you're different than the evolution of the planet. There are those who have seen it, there are those who will see it. The finer the instruments become, the more you'll be aware that there is no missing link, because you are separate and completely different from the other mammals on the earth. No animal, no mammal is like you. Your DNA reeks with a message that it's not from here. And we've told you this before, and we challenge the scientists to see it. Find the fusing, the 23 instead of the 24, all of the things that show you something happened. And it is not through normal evolutionary processes. It's counterintuitive to evolutionary processes, and that's where we're going to start. Now, I want to paint a picture for you so that you will understand something very critically. You are the new kid on the block in your galaxy. Right now, as I speak, something is happening. I cannot reveal to you the details of it, for it is not clear even to us, for it is simply unraveling as it will. The energies of potentials are at work right now doing something very special. Before I tell you what it is, even in a language my partner is not understanding yet, let me review those who seated you. We've spoken of the seven sisters, and we've spoken of the Pleiadians, and there'll come a time when humanity will see the potential of this being real instead of mythology or something odd. When they take a look at the biology, and when they get the invention that is coming, it will change everything. We have no clock. We cannot tell you when it's coming, but we will tell you this, that when you are able to manipulate, create, sustain quantum energy on this planet, you'll have the invention that will change humanity forever, and you will mark the beginning of your civilization from that point. For in this quantum energy that you will be able to create technically, you will then be able to tune in on the galaxy, and you'll be able to hear the others. For they are also tuned in to one another in a quantum state. They know who you are, and you will then know who they are. And rather than fear gripping the planet, there will be a release and a relief, and a rewrite, perhaps even, of spiritual systems. And the rewrite will honor God, but in a different way. The rewrite will understand that the mythology of the garden and the talking snake really are representative of a creative energy when it was time, when humans needed it. The reality of light and dark was given to you just in the allegory, but in a different way. That's your history. Those who planted the seeds on this planet of divinity in you did it after their change came 1,000,000 years before yours. Imagine a civilization on this planet 1,000,000 years from now in a graduate status. What would it be like? What would you learn? What could you do? All of these things, it is far beyond your scope of imagination. How can you explain something you don't know? How can I talk to George Washington about the internet when he doesn't know about electricity or a computer? One thing leads to another. Inventions build upon themselves in such a way that if you're not familiar with the grounding of where they came from and how they developed, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. Suffice it to say that one thing leads to another and truth reveals itself, and over generations, humans change.